Joining me now is Congresswoman Susan DelBene, Democrat of Washington State and chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. Thank you for being with us tonight, Congresswoman. And Democrats just need to flip 5 congressional seats to retake the House in November. You have a special congressional election in New York this week, which we'll get to. But what other races do you think Democrats have the best chance of seizing the majority and putting the Speaker's gavel in the hands of Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, who I know well, an ally who selected you personally to chair the DCCC?
Well, it's great to be here. And as you said, we only need 5 more seats to take back the majority. And we have incredible opportunities all across the country. We just announced last week our first round of red to blue candidates who are running to flip districts from red to blue, 17, and they're everywhere, from New York and California to Montana and Colorado and Texas and Iowa and Nebraska. We have incredible candidates, and they want to come to Congress to govern, and that's in huge contrast to the chaos, the dysfunction, and the extremism we're seeing from Republicans. I
was going to say that to govern, that's a new, that's something new in this little cycle. But ahead of the Senate GOP killing the bipartisan border and foreign aid deal last week, Speaker Mike Johnson had already said it would be, quote, dead on arrival in the House, with Republican Majority Leader Steve Scalise declaring that it would not be voted on the chamber. In the background of all this, of course, was Donald Trump, who railed against the deal, and House conservatives threatening consequences for Johnson over any aid to Ukraine. What's your take on all this chaos, Congresswoman?
Well, it's been chaos since day one of this Congress, from those 15 rounds of speaker election over and over again, brink of a default, brink of a shutdown of the federal government over and over. This is who they are. They're incapable of governing, and they can't even agree with themselves. So we need someone, and we need a Congress. We need a president and a Congress that are going to continue to work together to govern. We have a president who's willing to do that, but we don't have a House of Representatives. So when we have the majority, when we have Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, we will be in a position to be able to move legislation, and we're going to continue to fight because we can make a big difference right now, and continue to make sure we're doing everything possible to help govern and move important legislation like a security package.
Let's pivot from electoral strategy and talk issues ahead of November. Coming out of your conference's annual retreat last week are reports that some Democrats are worried that abortion has yet to become the driving issue for their voters that many thought it would be. Instead, immigration and border security have surged as that fight rages in Congress, and some fear that Democrats aren't prepared for it in key districts. As you try to retake the House, what do you say to voters asking why they should be voting for Democrats in this election?
Well, on the issue of abortion, it's actually been an issue in every single election since November of 2022. In places all over the country, Kansas and Ohio and Virginia, we continue to see voters turn out even in greater numbers to stand up for reproductive freedom. They've seen what's at stake. They know Republicans want to put in place a national abortion ban. So this has been an incredibly important issue, and I think is going to continue to be an incredibly important issue all the way through this November. So people know what's at stake, and they know Republicans want to take away their rights, their freedoms. They aren't willing to stand up for our democracy, and that means a terrible future.
And even in the immigration issue, the Democrats did give a lot of what they had claimed they wanted. Some of us felt maybe too much, but understood why it had to be done. And they still wouldn't do it. And, of course, you and I will take pictures at the completed wall that Donald Trump built that the Mexicans paid for. Oh, yeah, he didn't get that done. So why would they even bring that immigration issue up? But before we go, and we're out of time, but we are watching a tight congressional race in Tuesday's special election to replace ousted Republican George Santos, a race that has been cast an indicator of Democrats' possible fortunes in November. A new poll shows Democrat Tom Suozzi with a slim 4-point lead over Republican Mazi Pilip, just inside the margin of error. How important is winning this race to the DCCC?
Well, we said the Republicans only have a 5-seat majority. If we win this race, they only have a 4-seat majority. But we have an incredible candidate in Tom Suozzi. He's a former mayor, county executive, and the former congressman from New York 3. And the people of New York 3 deserve a representative they can trust. And he's a proven leader. He is someone who is focused on getting things done. I got a chance to work with him when he was a former congressman, and he was very focused on working to find solutions and get